Good afternoon, everyone. We're now entering, I think I'm losing count now. I think about day 4, day 5 of the lockdown. Things I think are starting to settle down in regards to what people are able to do in New Zealand. I think we're understanding a little bit more about that now. But we were wondering what is happening overseas, particularly in Japan from our biggest goods market. So we have independent buyer and wholesaler Nick Jenkins with us. Nick, I thank you for joining us. I think you're actually at the auctions at the moment right now.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. The auction hasn't started yet, but yes, I am at the auction. Auctions are proceeding normally. Japan really hasn't been much affected by any of this. There's a few things you see here and there, but generally it's kind of business as usual. Still quite a bit of traffic on the roads and things like that. Yeah.
But buying wise, I mean, are many people buying at the auction? I can't imagine there's too many people buying for the New Zealand market at those auctions at the moment.
There's not many people buying for the buying for the New Zealand market. Some other markets are still buying. The domestic market is still buying pretty much as per normal. Sales are still quite good in the domestic market. So what we're seeing is prices for like New Zealand specific cars, like Nissan Leafs, for instance, they've really tumbled because the domestic market just doesn't want Leafs or any kind of plug-in car. Domestic market just doesn't want it. So yeah.
So you're there buying today, but I mean, do any of your customers in New Zealand, are they actually in a position to buy and pay money for these cars, which they're not going to get their hands on until after the lockdown anyway?
Most of my customers don't really want to buy right now, but yeah, they are in a position where they can buy, but they don't really want to buy because it's going to be a long time before they see the cars, and there's a lot of other cars that are going to arrive first, and some of them will be in storage because they'll arrive while this lockdown is on. So the market's going to be kind of swamped with cars once the lockdown ends, and everybody's a bit wary of that.
Mm-hmm. Are you seeing any other buyers up there, perhaps, I guess, bargain hunting in the hope that they can hold on to vehicles and ride this out to have a cheaper vehicle at the end of it once it's landed in New Zealand?
I haven't seen very many, but I think there is one or two people out there buying. Just not very many because, everybody's wary that there's going to be too many vehicles that are going to arrive in New Zealand. And it's going to be a problem. For those that are short on stock right now, they're in a very, very good position, obviously. But anybody that's got plenty of stock is going to be sweating it somewhat because they're probably going to have to sell them at cost or less.
The New Zealand dollar is fairly low at the moment. I mean, how's that going to complicate things when we finally do come off lockdown?
New Zealand dollar hasn't dropped as much as I thought it might. I'm actually very surprised. It's stayed surprisingly stable. I sent quite a lot of my money up here about a week ago, thinking that the New Zealand dollar would drop quite considerably, and it's actually gone up. I've been surprised, only slightly, but I'm quite surprised by that, but that could change. It's hard to say.
When you say it's business as usual up there, I mean, are you seeing any change to processes around the auction house? I mean, any changes to how vehicles are being handled, any changes to hygiene and so forth within the facility? Which auction house are you at today?
I'm at NOAA, which is actually a hand auction. Last week when I was here, they opened all the doors and ran the like heating to get lots of airflow through the building. That aside, I haven't really noticed much here different. There's probably will be some other things, but the thing is that this is a very clean country anyway. People tend to wash their hands a lot more, and they have like alcohol to put on your hands, and those are like wet wipes that are like sealed in plastic. Japan's use of like single-use plastics for like wrapping foods and everything is higher than most countries, and I think that has had a bit to do with why it hasn't been that bad here. But of course, the biggest thing is that they close their borders very, very quickly, and they've always tested people coming into the country since the like SARS thing, like a few years ago. They've heat tested everybody as they like come into the country, which is a really good thing to do. And like Taiwan also has done the same, and that's why Taiwan doesn't have much of a problem either. The cases here are relatively low, considering there's 130 million people here. And so Japan is going to be less affected than most countries, which I would have thought would have meant that the Japanese yen will be extremely strong against other countries. But so far that hasn't been the case, actually. I'm quite surprised by that, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Now you've lived up there for well over a decade now, I guess. But
yes, correct. Yeah.
You do come back to New Zealand on a regular basis. I imagine it'll be a wee while before you're going to be back down in New Zealand now.
Yeah. Well, I actually came down to New Zealand with my wife about 6 weeks ago, I think it was, in February, and we were just absolutely astounded at the lack of like checking at the border. There was just none. We were just asked if we'd been in China. We said no, and like that was it. That was the total sum of the like border check. It was just ridiculous, and we said at the time, this is absolutely ridiculous. I think like New Zealand should be even better than what Japan is, because it's an island. There's sea all around it. There's no reason why this disease should be in like New Zealand in any great amount. I mean, if they had listened to the guy from the National Party, Paul Goldsmith, back in January, and they'd done what he said, New Zealand would not be in lockdown today.
Well, look, thank you very much for speaking to us from Osaka. Look, if you can stay safe, and we'll probably come back and speak to you further on as the lockdown goes, and we'll keep following what the market's up to.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, excellent. I'm going to go to the Toyota auction tomorrow, so that'll be quite interesting to see the difference here. Probably make more difference there than here, but yeah, we will see. Okay.
Thanks so much, Nick. Thank you.
No, thank you. Bye.